Hello, third graders. Welcome to our ELA mini lesson for Tuesday, September 29th. Our I can statement for today is, I can answer thin questions about a text. So before we get into our mini lesson, let's take a moment to think. Where does a good reader find the answers to their questions? Dun, 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 always in the text. Good readers reread the passage or text to find their answers, also known as evidence. This week, we're working on asking and answering thin questions. Thin questions are right there in the book. They might start with when, where, who, how many, and sometimes what. Remember, thin questions can be answered with one or two words, right or wrong answers. They also have answers that are right in the book. Today, we're going to be focusing on answers to thin questions that are already created. Make sure when answering thin questions, you read the question carefully. You always look back in the text for evidence. Let's take a look at our thin questions that you need to find the answers to today. How many brothers does Alexander have? Where does Alexander go after school? Who made Alexander fall in the mud? What did Alexander's sneakers look like? And when did Alexander bite his tongue? Remember, thin questions also have thin answers that are short and sweet, and they are right there in the passage. So let's pick up with where we left off yesterday.
A bad day. That's what it was. Because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. "Come back next week and I'll fix it," said Dr. Fields. "Next week," I said. "I'm going to Australia." On the way down the stairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy, and then I started crying because of the mud. Nick said I was being a crybaby.
So hopefully you've had a chance to jot down the thin answers to some of the questions. Let's take a look. How many brothers does Alexander have? Well, from the illustrations and the dialogue in the story, we know he has two older brothers. Where does Alexander go after school? He goes to the dentist. Who made Alexander fall in the mud? His brother, Anthony. So if you notice, all of these answers are answered in just a few words. They are either right or wrong. There is no in between for these thin answers, just like the thin questions. So let's see, as we're reading, if you can jot down on your whiteboard or sheet of paper the short and sweet answers to these thin questions. What did Alexander's sneakers look like? And when did Alexander bite his tongue?
While I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I am having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everybody. No one even answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes. But then the shoe man said, "We're all sold out." They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with the copy machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as could be, except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate limas. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. Blech. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain. I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burnt out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are like that, even in Australia.
Ain't that the truth? Were you able to find the answers to our thin question? What did Alexander's sneakers look like, and when did he bite his tongue? You answered his sneakers were just plain old white ones. You are correct. And when did he bite his tongue? At bedtime. Okay. All right. Before we wrap up, I want you to take this moment to think. What questions do you still have about the text? For me personally, I wonder what kind of day Alexander had tomorrow or his next day. Did he have another horrible day, or was it better? I'm just curious about that question. All right, so our important takeaway today was we answered thin questions to understand key details of a text. And just like our answers, our questions were short and sweet, and our answers only had 1 or 2 words. They were either right or wrong. So today you're going to reread A Pool Day, and you're going to answer some thin questions that we have created for you. Remember, thin answers are right there in the text. They can be answered in just a few words. They are either right or wrong. There is no in between. Good luck.